Humains, un podcast radio dédié à l'actualité et aux grands enjeux internationaux au travers du regard des acteurs de l'humanitaire. Une émission présentée par Pierre-Alain Gourion.
Hello everybody. Hi, I am Alain Gourion, Pierre-Alain Gourion from Bubble Art, which is a producer of broadcast and video documents to help humanitarian and ecological action. Today we host first Era PURNAMA SARI.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Do you speak French?
A little bit, only bonjour. Merci.
And we'll have this talk in English, Era.
Okay.
Because we shall say your English is better than your
Okay.
French.
Okay. Of course.
So you are a lawyer in Indonesia.
Yes, I am a public interest lawyer in
Yes.
Indonesia.
Yes. And what is your specialization?
Actually, I work for a legal aid organization for 12 years. I working generally for human rights issue or lots of issue like freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and also, of course, about environment, and especially me focus on environmental issue.
That's right. And you meet Tim HUGHES and you meet AEDH. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Pierre-Alain.
Thank you to be with us. You are a boss, a lawyer in France, in Lyon, unless you are British as well. Or you were British.
I'm still British.
Yeah.
I'm also French now as well, so I'm
Yeah. Are you
double nationality.
Are you for the Brexit or against?
I am passionately against Brexit, and it's because of Brexit that I applied to become French. We could have a discussion about Brexit if you like, but I guess I'm here as the president of Agir, ensemble pour les droits humains, and in that capacity, we are lucky enough to be collaborating with Lyon, the city, in a new program for France, which is a program called Shelter Cities. And Shelter Cities has existed for quite some time, but before the current election of the mayor and the team in the town hall of Lyon, there wasn't a single French city that was in this international network. And the new team in the town hall agreed to join this network. We are absolutely delighted that Era is here because she is the very first beneficiary in Lyon and therefore in France of the Shelter City program.
And as the president of Agir ensemble pour les droits humains, I don't know the word in English. How do you say that in English?
We say working together for human rights.
Okay. So this is through your organization that ERA came in France, right?
It's through the partnership between Agir Ensemble and the Lyon Town Hall, because it's not our organization that could join Shelter Cities, it was Lyon itself. But the Town Hall selected us. In partnership, we are going to coordinate the program. So we have Era who's arrived. So the way it works is the Town Hall makes available a flat, provides accommodation, to provide respite for human rights defenders around the world who are threatened and harassed and, as Era has already mentioned, in her case, prosecuted because of their commitment to defend the human rights of others. And
You're lucky, Era.
Yes, of course, and thanks to Tim and Alice and other people here.
And you're lucky again because you meet right now
Yes, of course.
Edouard Raffin.
Yeah.
Edouard Raffin is a lawyer from Lyon as well.
Yes, hello everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for accepting to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. What is your specialty?
I'm like Era, a public law interest lawyer here in Lyon, in France. And I am working in my own legal
Law firm?
Yes. And before that, because I'm 30 years old and I've been doing activities of advocacy for environment and climate change for 10 years.
In which kind of organization?
I mean, several organizations like 350.org. It's a American organization. Then I work with different African NGOs, and we did advocacy for climate change and human rights issues in the field of climate change. So I attended several UNFCCC talks, the United Nations climate change talks, in Denmark, in Rio de Janeiro, in Warsaw, in Morocco.
And of course, one of our topics today will be to have a look to the traditional role of the lawyer and to the new role, especially through NGO organizations.
Exactly. Yeah.
That will be one of the points we will have to look at. And we have Elise Goua.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Yes, Elise made a lot of work to prepare this network. So Elise, maybe could you explain to us and tell us some words about your work, of course, for Agir pour les droits humains, and about Indonesia.
Yes,
after.
it would be my pleasure.
Yeah.
So I'm Elise Goua. I'm working for Agir, ensemble pour les droits humains since for 8 months now. First, I was working as an assistant of the protection program, which aims to relocate human rights defenders, and that's in that domain that I met ERA, and now I'm working still in Agir Ensemble, but as an assistant in advocacy. And so yeah, I did my research, my homework about Indonesia, and so today we are going to talk about it.
But before,
yeah,
before speaking about Indonesia, I would like to hear the fifth people present here in this broadcast with Alain Pierre. Hello, Alain Pierre. Who is a pianist, as you can see and hear, and he will be with us during this this time we are going to spend together. Sorry, Elise.
No
Indonesia.
problem.
What is this country? Is it like Corsica, a small island?
No, actually, Indonesia is
Yeah.
3 times as big as France.
Yeah.
So it's an archipelago in Southeast Asia. It's more than 10,000 islands, but only about 100 are actually populated. It's 270 million of inhabitants, and
So it's about 3 times more than France, right?
yeah, even more.
Like European Union.
Europe.
Yeah,
Like
a little less than European
As big
Union, I
as
would say.
European Union, your country.
Maybe a little bit
Less.
less.
Yeah.
I think
But-
European
yeah.
Union is almost 500.
500?
Yeah,
Okay.
500,000.
Okay,
So
okay.
half European Union,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And so actually, it's a really interesting country. I never looked so much at it, but yesterday I did my homework and I did some research, and yeah, I discovered that there is more than 1,010 ethnic groups in Indonesia, and that it's one of the largest economy of the world. Actually, it's the 15th economy of the world in terms of gross product, and the economy is mostly based on agriculture, and we would talk about that because of the palm oil industry. Sorry.
Yes.
And also it's a country that is continuously developing. Today it ranks at the 107th rank in terms of human development index.
What is the Human Development Index?
So in French we would say Indice de Développement Humain, IDH.
What does that mean?
And it's actually an index that is measuring the development of a country based on the life expectancy at birth, the GPD, the gross product, and also the education level of the children after 17 years old. So basically it gives a sight of how the country is developing, and so, you know, to get a comparison, and yeah, that's interesting.
Era,
Yeah.
have you something to say, I mean, more about your country, about Indonesia? For French people, you know, we look like it was a, you know, kind of an island very far from here, a small island, because if you watch the global map of the world,
Yes.
you know, it's far away from here, and but it's not. It's a big country. It's a very big country, and maybe one of the first in Asia. So, say some words about your country.
Multi-ethnic.
Yeah, up to you.
Yes, my country is really multi-ethnic. More than 100 local language, and also different in other area, and especially my province in the West Sumatra Island in Indonesia, and we have the matrilineal system in the we have indigenous people with matrilineal system. So we are different with other area in Indonesia. So yeah, I think multi-ethnic and multi-local system in Indonesia.
Do you love your country?
I love my country, of course.
Do you love the government of your country?
Oh, I think it's not easy to talk about that, because my country today, they state we are declare we are a democratic country and rule of law, but the problem then reality today, I think the state become more repressive than before. So many law they are produced really repressive, and yeah, the problem about the land grabbing is the main problem in Indonesia, because so many local farmer, small farmer, and indigenous people lost the land and lost the culture and lost the local knowledge, because the state and the business took the land.
Yeah.
It's only a detail, Pierre-Alain,
Tim.
but and I only know this because Elise told me, but the number of islands populated is actually nearly 1,000 rather than nearly 100, because Elise actually said 100 earlier. But what I found really interesting when I met Era, and she's only been here for 4 days, is that first thing she said to me was how beautiful a city Lyon is, and that there are no cars and there's no pollution.
No cars in Lyon, no pollution in Lyon. Well,
and I thought to myself, well, isn't that amazing how one can compare experiences? Because as I was mentioning to Era, we are very concerned about pollution in Lyon and the number of cars, and we're trying to think how we can have a more relaxed and greener life in the city centre with less cars. It just goes to show, by meeting people from other horizons, how one's own perspectives can change. And it also goes to show what can happen unless you start thinking about pollution problems now. What can happen is you end up with a situation
in Jakarta,
like the one you explained in Jakarta, where you can't breathe and you have the most appalling smog. And so one of the issues which I would like Edouard to talk about later is a legal technical question that Era asked me, which I'll flag now. She asked me yesterday, do you think in French law one could take a case to the court and one's client would be the heir?
Okay.
Does the heir have standing to go to court? And these are really excellent and proper legal questions, which are so important for the future of our planet.
Yes.
I forgot to say that our theme today is the land grabbing. But before, we're going to listen to some music with Alain Pierre. Thank you to Alain Pierre. Here is Era PURNAMA SARI, lawyer from Jakarta, with people on this table to congratulate her for her work, because she's very courageous. What do you think, Tim?
She's extremely courageous, and she stands in a long line of lawyers who have been prepared to stand up for causes that they believe in and to put themselves in danger. But why would a lawyer be in danger? The reason a lawyer would ever be in danger is because of this dangerous and appalling confusion that the powers in too many countries make between the lawyer and the client, between the lawyer and the arguments that the lawyer is advancing on behalf of the client. How does a system of justice work? It can only work if there is a representative who gives voice to what the client wants to say. And that's what the lawyer is. That's why the lawyers in so many countries wear a robe. Just like a priest would wear a robe. It's because of the anonymity and the fact that the lawyer is representing an institution. Yes. An institution that society believes is important. Yes. I mean, some of the most important lawyers after the Second World War were the lawyers who defended Nazis at the Nuremberg trials. Why? Because without lawyers there to do that work, then those trials would have been a farce. Those trials wouldn't have been a genuine examination of the roles that those defendants played in the atrocities that we had during the Second World War. So, knowing that there is this confusion that happens in so many countries between the lawyer and the cause, for people like Era, in, as she said, repressive regimes, to be prepared to stand up and plead the case, yes, demonstrates a commitment, a passion, and I have to say, a greater understanding of the lawyer's role in society than that is shown by those repressive forces you mentioned.
Yes.
Are you, Era, a kind of new environmental priest?
Me?
Yes, you.
Not yet. Not yet. I'm a priest, but they report me actually for the electronic crime. To they use the law of information freedom. But yeah, until today they do anything. But I still my name in the report in the police until today.
Yes, maybe you can tell us one or two cases. I mean, the most clear and the most see what I mean in your career. Maybe one.
Yes. Yeah. I told you 2019 and 2020 I assist 59 farmers in Jambi province in Sumatra, Indonesia, because they tortured by police, and the police say this is not farmer, they are mafia, they are criminal. And I investigate the case and found the human rights violation. They torture and also conflict with the corporation, forest industrial plantation, and the farmer tortured by police because the police want to burning the more than 300 cottages and the land of the more 300 people. And after they burned the land, they took over the land. The corporation cultivate with the what we call the eucalyptus. This is strong evidence that police work for corporation, not for the people. So I bring the case and speak up for media and also by Human Rights Commission. And one day after I report to the Human Rights Commission, someone from Jambi, I don't know who, maybe corporation team or other, called me and said stop to bring the case. And I continue to assist the farmer, 59 farmers, also including indigenous people.
Did they frighten you?
They prosecute me.
Yeah.
They prosecute me in the court process. And one my weakness, they attack and arrest in the court building. This is not you can imagine.
Unbelievable here.
Yeah, the police stole my witness. Before 5 minutes the court is open. So so I don't have opportunity to talking with my client because they isolate my client. Everyone cannot meet with them. So, and every week in the court, most police officer came to the court, and there is terror with my family, with my client, because they intimidate, and then nobody want to talk about the case. So yeah.
Can you imagine that in France, Edouard Raffin?
It's unbelievable. Era, you are very courageous from a French perspective. I mean, lawyers here in France, we can do our job. We can stand for our clients in very comfortable situations and conditions, because we here in Europe, in France especially, we've got this umbrella of principles and rights from the European Court of Human Rights, from international convention agreements, and all these principles and these rights, human rights, or the rights for doing our job, they are implemented in the national legal system, and the rule of law here in France, it does work very well. I mean, in a very effective way. So we do not have this kind of problem. We face fair trials. Everywhere in France, every time, all the trials are fair. So we can do our job in the best conditions.
Yeah.
And we have a system which means that when there's a problem, then there is a judicial redress. If we have a former president of France who is suspected of trying to influence the justice system, then he's prosecuted. And in fact, we've even seen him convicted. And I think we would like to hear about your case, where you went to the French legal system to challenge the French government's actions on this very point of ecological protection.
Yeah, I think there is a big difference. There is a big difference between Hera, she's a lawyer in Indonesia, and me in France. I consider that you are at the front line of the fight in global warming and human rights issues. You are in the front line. Here in France, we are in the backyard of the system, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Here in France, because of the globalization, all the business and the pollutions and economical consequences to vulnerable populations in developing countries, they have been transferred. They moved out from France. So here in France, it's like everything is quite nice, quite working, and the pollution you found Lyon very with clean air when you arrive. That's very interesting, because all industrial pollutions moved out because of the globalizations and tax competitions. So here in France, we are not fighting against the same aggressor or the same problems. Other lawyers did the job before, after the Second World War. Here now it's only trying to hold the system, trying to take legal litigation for the activities we have in other countries. Our companies, our parent companies have in other countries. So it's not the same fight.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the same fight, and you're very courageous to do that in developing countries. I can explain after what we are doing here in France, but I think it's a very different squad.
And first, as all these problems are a bit technical, we'll listen a bit of music again. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Do you dance, Era?
Not yet. I can't.
Maybe in a few months in France,
maybe.
yes. Maybe we'll make a dance.
Yeah.
Well, today the dance is not that happy with land grabbing. What is a land grabbing all over the world, Elise?
Yeah, so land grabbing is our topic today, and I think Era just gave us a really good example of land grabbing when she was talking about Jambi cases. Land grabbing is actually a phenomenon that is currently progressing in bad ways. It means that foreign investors are actually investing and buying some areas, lands in other countries. And so basically it might be directly the countries that buy the land outside, mostly to
You mean the state itself?
Yeah, the state itself, mostly for food reason, or also because of biocarburants. You know that with the ecological transition we are trying to stop using fuels, and one of the alternative was the biocarburants, but you need to grow some products.
What is the problem of that? I mean, everybody can invest in another country.
Yeah.
Why in this case it's a bit dangerous for the planet?
Yeah, so two reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only dangerous for the planet, it's also dangerous for the people. Those lands are said to be empty, but actually there is no empty lands in the world. So they are populated by people, and especially indigenous people, like were the Jambi farmers. And those don't have a material title of property. And so the Indonesian state in that case would have, sell those lands to either a state or a company, a big company, for them to plant some, you say eucalyptus trees.
Eucalyptus tree, yes.
Yeah, and so they sell the lands, but there are people living on those lands, having their houses burned by the police or the local police or the companies, etc., because those are actually thinking, yeah, we bought those lands, so they are ours, but they are not. I mean, there were some other people before, and so this leads to really bad consequences for human rights and also for environments, because they are destructing some huge places of primary forest. And when we talk about Indonesia, sometimes we think about the Borneo forest and the causes of the orangutan, the monkeys, because we are basically investing there, deforesting, cutting all the trees, the primary forest that is so, we call the primary forest the lung of the earth.
And cutting the traditional way of living of the population.
Yeah. And so we are cutting the trees, destructing cultures to plant palm oil tree, eucalyptus tree, and this has a really bad consequence both on environmental, environment, but also on people, because as Era said with the Jambi case, people are living there and in very traditional ways, and their rights are totally violated in that case.
I think, Pierre-Alain, that we could almost draw a direct comparison with what we are experiencing today in Ukraine. What happens when there's a land grab is that some outside authority acts as an unauthorized aggressor in order to take land that belongs to other people. And so when we see a state invading another state, we have, if it happens in the correct part of the world, and this is quite close to Europe, and so we have had a worldwide reaction to it, whereas when it happens in other parts of the world, we don't have quite the same energy to denounce it. But what we have seen is the world coming together in order to say to Russia, you cannot go onto other people's lands. And why? Because they have rights, and the fundamental rights of the Ukrainians are being abused by the Russians in a similar way to the way in which some corporations or some states in these countries will do it. And it's what we call a double impact scenario, because not only is it appalling for the indigenous people who live there, and this happens in many, many countries around the world, and Agir ensemble is involved in one particular program in the Democratic Republic of Congo, our program called PURNAMA, which defends the pygmy peoples.
Is it the same over there?
It's very similar,
Yeah.
because you have a situation in which these people are regarded as second-class citizens. They haven't integrated into the urbanized and what they incorrectly call civilized society. They're still living on their ancestral lands, and therefore we can ride over their rights and take their land if we want it in order to get a profit often. And so the impact is double, because it's on the people and it's always on the planet. When the Brazilian government destroys so much of the Amazon in order to grow food for cattle so that we can then kill those cattle and we can eat burgers, it's a crime against the people and against the planet.
Era, what do you think of this kind of comparison with Ukraine and, of course, Africa as well?
I think it is similar problem like Tim said about the land grabbing in other country, because so many reasons about food security reason. And today in Indonesia, most of the problem about the food security in Kalimantan and Papua, also North Sumatra, this really really danger for the forest, because the government will be cut the tree and they will be kill our planet. And I think there's the same problem with other country, like Tim said. And for Indonesia today, we have 208 national strategic project that government said if they use this label, the always consideration about the human rights, about the environmental, they feeling not necessary to consider it when they make decision today.
Maybe at this point we can talk about both the using by the lawyer of the NGO in the field of the environmental field, and the use of the law of the court first, and second, to have a view about law and equity. Because when people, even foreign states, used to buy land, it's not illegal.
No.
It's not against the law,
No.
but it could be against equity, right?
Yeah, in most cases, actually, it's legal.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not. It's legal because there is no title of property, so those lands are legally empty, and so you can sell it. But it's made in bad ways that are actually illegitimate.
How do you say illegitimate in English?
Illegitimate.
Illegitimate, yeah.
It's
Sorry.
easy, yeah. Illegitimate.
Yeah, there is an example where people from developed countries take part in the system, but it appears legal. Like, for example, when you want to plant forest or trees, people in developed countries, they are conscious that the global warming is happening and they want to do something about it. So they find NGOs or companies that offers to plant trees, not in France, in developing countries. And here is the problem. It appears to be legal because it is, of course, as Elise said, there is no indigenous property titles or rights, so the state can sell those lands as he wants. So it appears legal, but this is totally illegitimate. It's not fair, because those French people, those people from the developed countries, they believe they do something good
at this point
about environment.
A lawyer
but this is not good
could
for
fight
the human
against
rights.
law.
Of course, we can fight
Against law?
Yes, we can.
How?
Because we can change the law. We can ask for our representative to change the law. Lawyers are two types of activities. They stand for people, they represent their clients at courts, or they can advocacy and pledge for new laws and try to influence the work of the deputies and representatives. Here in France at the Assemblée nationale or in the Senate. So we can fight the laws when the laws is not good enough, or is not, or we must change it. It maybe used to be good. It used to be a good law, but now it's not enough.
And lots of countries have overarching constitutions, and many countries have constitutions which protect fundamental rights, including, of course, the French Constitution. And often ERA and other lawyers around the world who are engaged in such local struggles, they can fight against any recent law that Parliament may have passed by referring back often to the original texts on which the whole legal structure of the country is based, and you can often find a conflict between the wishes and the legal guarantees that are expressed in a constitution and any particular local recent law that is made because a particular government in power at a given moment wishes that law to come into force for its own purposes.
Have you an example?
Yeah, and the problem in Indonesia today, they make the crime of land grabbing make illegal with the law. They changed, imagine, they changed 78 law with one law, only 1 year. And all people rejected the law, but the government still issued the law. So I think it's really a problem today. And some of Indonesians die because demonstrate and the police attack them. But yeah, the law still issued by the government. And the problem, actually, we can't in Indonesia, example, and I think in developing country, the formal system like court not effective to bring the land grabbing case actually, because indigenous people. Tomorrow I talk with Tim. The indigenous people, they don't have the written evidence. But the formal system in the court, they use the formal evidence. So if we bring the case to the court, they will lose. That is a problem in Indonesia. And also the indigenous people, they don't have enough the access to justice. Example, if they want to report the corporation to the police because the police attacked them or took the land, the police say, where is your evidence for your land? Like certificate, like that. So
and they don't have, of course.
They don't have, of course. So yeah, that is a problem.
But that's where the word advocacy, Elise is an advocacy officer at Agir, ensemble. Edouard used to be an advocacy officer for NGOs. This is the whole dual purpose of people who know and understand the law, who try to increase sensibilization, understanding of the way in which the law can be abused. And it's an extremely important part of the function that lawyers can play, because they have a legitimacy to explain that the regime is moving away from the guiding legal principles on which any country at any one given time may have been founded. So it's the advocacy not in the sense of standing up in court and presenting a case, which is advocacy. It's advocacy in the example of spreading the message. And Pierre-Alain, if you'll allow me to say it, in so many countries, the mainstream media are also part of the system.
Yes, of course.
And they won't
yes.
relay the type of message that ERA wants to relay in order to try and engage with the population so that people can understand fully what's happening, which is why media such as this
I'm afraid, Tim,
exist.
Land grabbing is not very sexy.
No.
It's not sexy for the media, for the mainstream media. See what I mean?
But it's important. And
yes, but how can we make it interesting for people? Through which way? Through which examples? Okay, we have 3 minutes to think about it during the music.
Okay.
Through this music, the thing, how is it possible to make this kind of fights publicly interesting? Edouard.
I can try to give the beginning of the answer.
Yeah.
You say the land grabbing is not a sexy fight, especially in developed countries. Maybe there are two ways. First, we can raise awareness in the consumers, spirits in the consumers. In law system, we have what we call soft law. There are rules and principles that could not be used in legal action, but companies or states or NGOs or whatever, they could use those principles, and they can take this principle as a guide. For example, in food companies, some French food companies can choose not to use palm oil in Indonesia in its products, and consumers in France will choose in the supermarkets this product because the food company tried to do it well and fair. So this is not hard law. You cannot bring that cases in court, but it's kind of soft law. It guides the action of food company, and the consumers aware of the issue of land grabbing can choose the good product. And the second
making popular making popular, I mean, in the mind of people, for instance, something about palm oil, and after that oblige company to move and to modify their action, right?
Because companies have indicators and they follow what the consumers want. So this is the beginning of the answer. And there is a more legal answer. For example, in France in 2017, there is a new bill about due diligence. So now parent French companies should be more aware of the activities in developing countries of their subsidiary companies. And you can bring those cases now in France against the parent company, the French parent company, and try to make it liable for their actions in developing countries. It's a new way.
Have you got a clear example of this using of this law?
Yes, we have. Yes.
For example,
the
clear one.
A clear one, yeah. There is a new case in France, bring from the NGO Notre Affaire à tous, okay, and Notre Affaire à tous try to pursue Total Energies and make it accountable and liable for the activities of subsidiary companies in developing countries, and the trial is in process.
It's not decided.
Not decided yet.
Okay. How long will it take?
A few years, maybe two.
Too long? Isn't it too long?
Of course, but it's a beginning.
You have a strong reaction to the actions of particular petrochemical multinationals. Uganda is an example where Total is involved in inappropriate and lots of people say illegal actions. And what do? They come after the activists and the lawyers who are involved in Uganda and NGOs such as Friends of the Earth, who are engaged in trying to bring into the light what they're doing. So you have an NGO based in London called Publish What You Pay. And what do? They try to bring into the open so that citizens can be aware of it, the money which changes hands so that our Western multinationals can have licenses to exploit the earth, to dig for oil or to extract metals from the ground because they pay for them, and it's a corrupt system. And so the anti-bribery and due diligence legislation which has come in so many European states is important. And I would say, Pierre-Alain, that the key to so many of these questions is education. And I'm proud to be married to a primary school teacher who teaches children who are aged 10 in CM1. And on the syllabus now in primary schools is environmental awareness, is the question of sharing the planet, questions of understanding how we are all linked, understanding how if we do move our industries out of Lyon so that our city is less polluted, it usually means that we're moving the problems to some other country, just as we do with our waste. So there are so many things that need to be improved in the world, and often it starts with trying to improve our understanding and educating the next generations as to what the realities of the world are that we are in the process of leaving to these generations, and I'm afraid we don't have too much to be too proud about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Another example of this kind of contradictions, because we are all of us in a lot of contradictions, is, well, the point, the European Union is against using a lot of oil palm. And your country is, I think, the first producer and exporting this product. At the same time, your country is going to be the leader of the G20 in the next December, something.
Yes.
How can we organize all that? I mean, you cannot fight against your country.
Yeah.
You cannot fight against the wellness of your people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, your fight is against, of course, for example, this product.
Yeah.
How is it possible to organize all that and to modify things in time?
Yeah, first the world must be know the commitment Indonesian government that is not real, because they agree with Paris Agreement, they're leading with the G20, but they're also promoting about the deforestation, example food estate, and so many strategic national project they promote today. So I think the world must be know about that, and they must be also helping my country to push the government to stop the deforestation. And of course, I agree 100% with Edward, because so many products in Indonesia, like oil and also pulp and paper, goes to Europe and other countries also. And I think consumer movement is really important, and how we make the local problem in Indonesia, like Jambi community, make the world global problem. I think I imagine if the young generation in Lyon, example, talk about the Jambi case, I think the government will be think about, oh, this is will be danger for our country. So stop, hey police, you must stop to yes, something like that.
Thank you very much, Era PURNAMA SARI. I think we are now at the end of this broadcast. Time is going very quickly, especially with all of you.
Time
this
flies.
is a first example, first tentative of making something directly in English. Thank you, all of you, for your participation. Now we're going to finish this moment with Alain Pierre. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Superbe le final.
Excellent.
Il y avait toutes les contradictions de la planète.